Artistic Gamer 7, and welcome back to Jessie's dream home build. This is part 2. If you missed part 1, I will have it in the description below, so that if you missed that part, go click that before it gets any further so you can see the first half of this. But if you watched the first half, then welcome to part 2, and hope you have enjoyed it so far. I really hate having to split it up, but like I was saying in the previous one, it was just way too long even after I tried to get it as short as possible for me to post it as one video. It would have been like over an hour after adding the screenshots, which this part has the screenshots. I've already added them, so this part is going to be around 30 minutes, but it still is a little bit shorter than part 1. But anyway, in this one, basically, you get to see the rest of the build and how it all comes together to work as one. Right now, the kitchen is being finished, and one of the things that I tried new in the kitchen, which I was mentioning towards the end that I would talk about it, the end of the first part, I would talk about it in this part, was the little island thing I did in the middle. I actually have my brother and his wife, their house actually has an island in it, and though it's not like how I did it, part of the island is raised up higher than the rest of it, and the other part is like level to where you can put bar stools on it to sit, and the other half is higher. So I sort of took inspiration from that, and I did like the centerpiece, because I wanted it to be a big island, because the fact that the kitchen is a pretty sizable space, and it sort of just had that middle section that had sort of nothing in it. So I wanted the island to be sort of pretty big so that it takes up and it makes the room look a little bit fuller. But I didn't want to just do a plain old thing. Like, I've put plants in the middle of islands before when I've done stuff like that and different things. But I wanted to try something different, and I used the countertops and just used the Control 9 to raise them up just a little bit. They do get a little dark, I guess, because, you know, it's technically two objects overlapping, but I decided that maybe that's just like a look that they are going for, is to make it look a little bit darker and make it look a little bit different. I did play around with the lighting a little bit as well to try to not make it look quite as dark. I was able to lighten it up somewhat, but not like extreme, like not to compare it to the rest of it. But I decided that maybe that's just the element, and maybe the lighting is causing that shadow display. But yeah, it was different, and I do like how it looks. I like the raised center so that it's a little bit different, and it's like a lot of counter space technically that you or your Sims could be using for stuff. So I definitely like how it turned out. I just wish it wasn't as dark, but it doesn't bother me that bad, actually. So, hence why I kept it that way, and I was perfectly fine with it being shadowed towards the top. It's just a little weird that the top one's the one that gets the shadow and not the bottom ones, but, you know, hey, whatever. It's fine. It's okay. But, so yeah. The kitchen should be finishing up soon. I do a little bit of decorating inside the hallway, because, like, to me, like, depending on the size of a hallway, it should still have some stuff in it, whether it's just pictures or something like that. But in this case of this one, the two hallways, which is basically they're connected by the stairs. So you got the one hallway, and then you go up the stairs, and you got the other hallway. They had parts in them that were a little bit bigger than the rest of it. So I thought that maybe I would put, like, a chair or something in there just to give it, like, something. Technically, you know, you probably won't have people sit in those chairs. Well, I don't know. With it being Sims, maybe they would. Sims are so random, they could literally see a dining table super close to them, but they would sort of look at it and then walk out of the way to go sit somewhere completely random to go eat their food. So, you know, who knows? Maybe the Sims will actually use these random seating areas that are out in the hallways. Who knows? They are really, really strange sometimes and can do stuff like that. But typically, in a real life situation, it probably wouldn't be used, and you could probably tell this is more of a decorative chair or decorative sitting area, not so much an actual used sitting area. I also decided to put, like, a dog bed up under the stairs. I don't really know if dogs, like, animals can get under there, but I do know that in the past, when I have put stuff under stairs and things like that. Even Sims could get to them to a certain extent, depending on how far up under the stairs it was. I just don't know if that little area is big enough for anyone to get back there. Like, in real life, you could see a human crawling under there and actually placing that stuff. But I thought it was a little neat idea, like the little dog, if the sim has a dog or even a cat, it has its little own space that's tucked up underneath the stairs. And, they get to have, like, it's their own sort of area. But, and I feel like it's small enough, well, it's a big enough opening that a cat or a dog of any size could fit under it. I just don't know if in game that works well, but we can pretend. We can pretend. But yeah, so I like that little idea of having like the little doggy space. But right now I'm working on like the bedroom and stuff. I'm with the balcony right now, which I don't know if I realized I don't think I ever gave that balcony flooring or porch area, whatever you want to call it. Maybe I did, but that looks like it's the regular concrete. I may have forgotten. But anyway, so yeah, this little porch area is meant for like the couple who lives here or whatever, and this is sort of like their little private area that they get to go out and just watch, and they technically can watch the streets and stuff. And I think where this house is placed, there's technically like a pond or something across from it. So it fits for this location, of course, depending on where, if you download this, depending on where you put it, might face something else. But I could just imagine people just sitting out and sitting there. And also, if you had neighbors coming, you just sit there and you might be hidden slightly by the flowers, and as they're walking up there, they'll be like, hey, and then they'll be like, what? Yeah, I'm the type of person that my head goes that direction. I would just imagine them getting scared because they don't know where you're at. But yeah, it would be sort of funny. But anyway, so that was just like a little area private for them to go outside and stuff. I would imagine that they would keep that door, particularly to that porch, locked at all times, just because, like, at least me, I watch way too many crime shows. I would automatically imagine that, if it was a real life situation, obviously, this is like if it was a real life house, real life situation type thing, not Sims, because one, we don't have robbers in Sims, which it's sort of nice not having to get your stuff stolen, but sort of annoying because we used to have them, and it added an element to the game that was more realistic, but also gave you more of a struggle. Like, yeah, you would be really mad if you worked all this time to save up this money and got this thing stolen, but it gives that element of realism and that element of struggle, and you have to save up money again to try to get it back and stuff like that. So I like those little elements, but hey, whatever. We'll see if we'll ever get robbers back in the game or whatever. But anyway, if it was a real life situation, I could imagine that a robber would easily be like, well, maybe they don't lock that door over there because it's sort of hidden and you can't see it so well. I'm just gonna trample through their flower bed and go through there, and then they're right into your bedroom. No. So yeah, I'm sure that door is heavily locked at all times, except for when they are out on the porch themselves. But so, anyway, but this, I was mentioning in the last one that the master bedroom was sort of an awkward shape. It is because of where it's put at, so there's a lot of corners, there's a lot of everywhere, so it was a little bit hard to actually try to put certain stuff in certain places, try to make the room feel like it's filled in and actually lived in and used to a certain extent, and trying to just get it stuff in there, because some stuff didn't fit the way I wanted it to, or it didn't look right where I was wanting it, or it only made sense for the bed to be really in the one spot because it didn't really fit anywhere else, so then I had to fit everything else around the bed. And I really liked having that fireplace there as well, but I couldn't put two chairs because if I put two chairs, the one chair would be too close to the bed. So, I just put the one chair, but at the same time, I've seen fireplaces that sometimes only have like the one chair at them. And that you would imagine that maybe there's one of the people in the couple really like sitting at the fireplace while the other, maybe sitting somewhere else or doing their own thing, or, maybe it's the the person who likes doing their makeup and stuff is sitting at their makeup chair while the other person sits on the fireplace. You know, something along those lines. But I did stick with a heavy blue theme in this one. I think I realized I forgot to put something in the kitchen, and I went to go put some in the back in the kitchen there. But it is overly blue in this room with white and black. I don't add too much red in this one. This is where the red doesn't come through too much. I even had a chance to put some red with those roses I put on the fireplace, but I decided the purple looked better instead. So it is a lot more blues and such. Now, eventually I put this one picture up on the wall behind the bed. And my reasoning behind choosing that one was actually more of, if you watch the first one, you know that I was mentioning that one of my friends picked out a building for me to try to recreate, and that's why I'm calling it Jessie's Dream Home, because it was Jessie who picked it out. She actually has a painting. She's probably gonna fuss at me if she watches this and I don't know the name of the person. She has a huge painting of some actress, I think. I don't know her name. Like, when I hear her name, I recognize it, and I automatically know it's her. But anyway, so I was trying to go with something along those lines. She does have one of those big paintings. At one point it was on her wall in her bedroom, but right now she's having to share a bedroom with her sister, so I don't know, I don't think it's still up on a wall anywhere. But so yeah, that was part of the reason why I put that painting on the behind the bed. It's that one. So, but also I just thought it added a little classy element to it. I think that room looked a little bit more on the classy, elegant side, or glamour, classy, elegant, I don't know. But I sort of went with the vibe of the room, I think, is just in general. But now I'm on to the bathroom, which I stated the bathroom was even an odder shape than the bedroom. It really is a very odd shape for a room almost in general, but particularly for a bathroom. It is very long, and, you know, the bathtub is, like, really far from the door and stuff like that. The toilet's actually closer to the door, so it was a very odd shape, but I think it worked, in all honesty. I liked that it was different. I think, it worked out very well. I just completely zoned out, but it's okay. But I do actually add, this one has a lot of tans in it, and the red comes back through a little bit on this one, if I remember correctly. Pretty sure I got some reds back in here, but this one does a lot of the tans, creams, a lot of those colors. I think when doing a bathroom, my favorite choices for bathrooms is either the tans and creams or the blacks and the whites, especially for the master bath, just because this is your escape. This is where you go to calm down. This is where you go to try to hide from the kids. So, you know, relaxing, calming is nice to have. Now, I don't do every single bathroom that way, because not every single bathroom is going to be that way, and not every single person is going to want their bathroom that way. That is just my two personal preferences to try to go to, but I don't always go to them. But there is the sauna attached to this one. I do decorate the sauna a little bit, because I feel like you need to at least add a little bit in the sauna and just not make it a sauna. But, so yeah, there is a sauna attached to this bathroom, which makes it a lot more unique from some of the other ones. And, you know, different. I also really wanted a rug at the door, and I struggled with trying to find a rug that fit the space and also fit the color scheme and fit how I wanted it to. I was like, I don't like any of these colors. I don't like it. I just couldn't decide. I don't remember if I actually end up putting one at the door. I end up putting one here, I believe, but I don't remember if I end up putting one at the door. But, so, yeah, it was a bit of a struggle. But I do really like how this bathroom turned out. It had, odd shape, a little bit challenging, but in the end, I think it turned out really well, and I really liked it. And, you know, it's almost like when you see the layout of the house, you almost wouldn't know this bathroom was here, just because it is very oddly shaped and almost tucked away, but it's a big size bathroom at the same time, so it's really odd. It gives a really weird feeling, and I wouldn't mind this bathroom myself, but obviously you would have to have this house, because this is an oddly shaped bathroom. This is a bathroom that is shaped around the rooms that precede to be around it itself. So now with the decorations that was in the sauna, I didn't, like I said, I always feel like I need to do something in the saunas instead of just leaving it plain, but I don't usually go too over the top. A lot of times in my head I'm thinking something over the top, but then as I go to execute it or I go to actually decorate the sauna, I tone it back quite a bit and I don't add a whole lot. Partially because usually what I'm trying to do usually involves a lot of plants and it just doesn't look right when I try it, but also because to me a sauna is not to be overly complicated. It's supposed to be a relaxation place, so you want to go there, relax. You don't want a lot going on, but I also didn't want it to be plain either, so it's always a struggle sometimes when I do the saunas. I don't want them to be plain, but I don't want them to be complicated at the same time. I'm like inner struggle of self. So yeah. Now this is the other sitting area that I was mentioning that I had going on, which again, I wouldn't imagine that you would in real terms actually use this very often. Granted, all of my hallways are too thin to put chairs or anything like that in, so who knows? I may not think it would be used in a real life setting, but maybe they would. Maybe if I had one in my house that came to it, I would actually do that. I don't really know. But just thinking about it, I don't think I would use a chair that's randomly sit in a hallway that often, unless for some reason I was walking and having a conversation with someone and somehow we just did not make it to our end destination and we stopped in the hallway. That is the only way that I can personally think that I would actually use a sitting area that's in the middle of a hallway. To me, it is more of a decorative thing than a actual used thing, but I do like it. I do think it adds to the house. I think it makes it not be so boring, and all that stuff. This is obviously the gym room that I was mentioning in the last one. Upstairs is going to have the gym, the guest bedroom, the 2 kid bedrooms, and the study area. Obviously, this room, if you really needed to or wanted to, could be changed into another bedroom for another kid or whatever you may have, butler, whatever you need. So could the study as well, and the guest room could become, instead of a guest room, it could be a kid's room. I may always make well, not always, but I usually make a guest bedroom in my houses. That's one of the things that I make that doesn't really end up having a normal function when switching to live mode and actually playing with The Sims, just because you can't actually, you can have sleepovers and stuff technically, but usually those are in a romantic manner unless you have a mod that allows you to have a sleepover in a friendly capacity. But I feel like there should be an option to have guest over, whether it's a family member or a friend who's coming in out of town. If you wanted to go story wise, I feel like that should be an option, and you could even set it as this is a guest bed, so anytime you have guests over who are going to be staying the night, that's where the sim automatically thinks to go. That is your guest. But, whatever, it's fine. I do know if you do have the mod that allows you to have friendly sleepovers, they do go to a bed, but you can't say which bed they go to, so sometimes they'll just find a bed that is free. Therefore, if your Sims are not asleep yet, one of their beds might be taken by your guest. So I really wish you could actually set, a bed to be, the guest bed, so that when you have guests over, they can go to sleep in there, and there's an option for without a mod, there's an option to invite people over as, family or guests that actually ends up staying for a day or two or something like that. But, that's not a thing as this current point. I would like that because it's more realistic to me. And to me, a lot of people I know have guest bedrooms, unless they just don't have that option because the size of their house and the family they have. But a lot of people I know have guest bedrooms, or they have a place that guests would stay if they were there. So I always like adding a guest bedroom, particularly to these larger builds, just because that would make sense to me. So you don't actually use it or anything, but I think it would be nice to have. and I just always automatically do it as like an instinct. Now, with the rest of the house, there is like a little tiny room. It's like an entryway to the outside, but I just sort of separated that from the actual hallway itself, just because, if, to me, I was like thinking about if you were having guests over, if you was having a party in the back or whatever, this is like the little entry room into the house if you're going that way. And I like having those rooms that sort of separate, like, bedrooms and hallways and all that stuff from, like, the entrances of the house. Now, obviously, the back doesn't matter as much as the front, and a lot of times I just have the back go from the living room is my typical thing, but since the way that I did the back, it actually, the way to get outside from the back is actually from the upper floor instead of the lower floor, and the living room is on the lower floor, I decided that it was going to be, like, a little tiny entryway to it, so that was that little room, and then there's the two girls' bedrooms. And now, again, I was basing this sort of similar, sort of off of my friend who chose this house for me to build. And particularly, she does have a sim in my game that actually has twins. In real life, she only has one kid. But the game decided to be like, no, you have two. So her sim has twin girls versus she only has one girl. And I did ask her what color did she want, like, the wallpaper and stuff to be in the girls' rooms if she had to choose. If her sim chose what color she would, and she just said blue for both of them. I was like, you don't want them any differently? And then she didn't say anything, so I was like, okay, I'll start with blue. But as you can already tell, one of them didn't stay just blue. I ended up going a little bit fun with the colors in one, and then keeping with the shades of blue in the other. And the one is more of like the artsy type, while the other is more of the sportsy type, and it just sort of started expanding slowly into that, without knowing how these two characters in my Sims game is actually going to for surely turn out. It's just as I was decorating, I had certain elements that were the same, but then they were slightly different because of the different personalities that these two were taking on, because in the Sims world, they're only toddlers. In the real world that the one is based off of, she just turned one not too long ago, so obviously I don't know what direction any of these in the sim world or the real world is gonna take, but I just had a lot of fun in going the routes that I did. So one was more the sportsy person, while the other was more of the artsy one. I wouldn't necessarily go and say that either one of them's full-on girly, even though the one does have a lot of pinks and other colors in her room, but that was just me, like, trying to get a bunch of different colors together, and I really liked those pinks and those, like, the corally pinks and the, like, greens and mints, especially. Those were some of my favorite colors to put together, so I just had a lot of fun doing those sort of colors in her room while doing all the different shades of blue in the other. But I had a lot of fun with their rooms. I really like how they turn out. There's certain elements, like I said, that they have similar, but there's obvious differences because their personalities are starting to take fold. It's starting to come out. They're starting to be individuals and stuff, and, you know, start taking their own life paths as they're getting older. But it was a lot of fun decorating their rooms. It might get a little crazy because I am literally going back and forth in between the two rooms. I didn't just stay with one room at a time. I'm like, I'm gonna do the bed and stuff of both rooms at the same time, and then I'm gonna do the activities, and then I'm gonna do the decorations, and so I kept going back and forth in between the two rooms. But I was having a lot of fun, and I was getting probably a little carried away with the rooms to a certain degree. So, and I was also, like, trying to, like, add, like, different elements to them, and I was feeling that before at one point that I wasn't giving as much, like, stuff on the walls to the girl that was gonna be the artsy one, so that's why I'm, like, looking for stuff, like, maybe she's also into some movies or things like that, and then I found, like, one of the movie things looked like it was, like, Wonder Woman, so I started going with, like, also superheroes along with the artist thing. So she's got a little bit of different interests. Like, she's got a few things going on. And then I put this on the outside of their doors because it was, like, connecting their doors. And I was imagining it was pictures of them. Obviously, you can't put pictures of your actual Sims on those things. But, you know, we can pretend that those are actually pictures of the two girls that are connecting their doors. Lastly is going to be the study. I will say I feel like the study is probably the room that I least decorated, that I spent the least time on. I don't know if it was just because it was the last room I got to, so at this point I've been building for extremely long time, or if it's just I don't know. I don't know. I feel like that was probably it the most, or maybe I thought I was doing quite a bit, but I wasn't actually. But this is the study, so there's like the little area for the kids over there, and I still try to carry their room's colors through, so like the pinks and the mints and the blues for each one of them. There's the desk for the two adults in the house that would be there. I didn't do much for the study, I'll admit it. I did try to bring a little bit more red into this, other than the girls section, like the little kids section there, but I was originally trying to bring some more red into it, but the further I went, I think the less red I put in this room. So, yeah. But I do put a few little things here and there on the desk. I add little flowers here and there. I feel like sometimes I almost go overboard on the plants. And the thing is I don't really have a lot of plants in my own house. Granted, my dad owns a greenhouse, and I help with the greenhouses, so outside of the house, yes, there's tons of plants up there, up in the greenhouses and stuff, but in my actual house, there's not many plants at all. Not at all. But when I build houses in The Sims, I want to put plants all over the place. I don't really know why, I just really do. It is like this urge that I have. I'm like, ooh, there's a corner great for a plant. Like, before I even put any other furniture pieces in, I'm like, that corner would be great to put a plant in. Yes. Plant, here you go. So, I'm making, like, gestures and moving my arms, even though you can't see me doing those things. But, anyway. So, yeah. But the screenshots should be coming up here in a second, because it looks like it cuts me off building, but I actually didn't have much more going on after that. So, that is the finished product of this whole entire build. It was quite a huge build. I really do like how it turned out. I was really happy with it in the end. So, it was a lot to do. It was a lot of hours. It was a lot of editing to get it down to the 2 parts versus doing more than 2 parts. But I was really, really happy with it. I liked how the whole house turned out, and how I was mostly able to still seem to keep most of the rooms connected, other than obviously the 2 girls' rooms, because that's their own individual personalities coming out of them. The guest room looks a little bit, the colors varied a little bit, but I feel like there's still like a unity going through the house. Like, you can see pictures of this individual room, and pictures of the individual rooms, and still tell they're sort of part of a whole. At least I hope that comes across. That's how it feels like it comes across to me. But, maybe it doesn't to others. I hope it does, though. But, yeah, let me know in the comments down below how you like this house. Tell me what some of your favorite parts of it was and everything. I hope that, you enjoyed both parts and the lovely house itself. As I mentioned in the first part, this house is up on the gallery for you to download. I've used no CC, because, I try not to ever use CC in my builds, at least not to begin with. Once they move over into my main save, that's when I start adding some CC into them and stuff, because they're more for my personal use. But the ones that I post up on the gallery, except for on rare occasions, I don't use CC on, but if I do, I will state that they have CC in the video, and also when I upload them to the gallery. But this one has no CC. I also try not to use my first pet stuff, because I know a lot of people don't have that one, and there was a lot of things behind it, and I don't want people to worry about those objects just going missing. But at the same time, sometimes I do forget if those objects are ever in. There's only like 1 or 2 of them. And you also can see on the gallery which objects were used in my builds from different packs, so you can see whether or not it actually is going to be that big of a deal if there's certain packs that you don't have. If it's going to be that big of a deal that they are not going to be there, and you can replace them with something you do have. Or if you have CC, you can replace them with some of your own CC. But the video soon is going to be coming to an end. The last few screenshots are going to be of the whole house itself. And down in the description below will be my origin ID, the name of the build, so if you ever forget what it is, you can always come back to the video and see, and you don't have to watch the whole video over again for you to hear the name or anything like that. So it will be down in the description below, as well as my social medias, so you can go follow me on those if you're not already. Make sure you're subscribed so you can see future builds and other things that I do on the channel, Sims related. All of my Sims 4 playlists, including the Sims 4 builds, is down in the description below, so that you can go check out previous builds or any other things that you might be interested in that are lovely Sims related. Thank you so much for watching. Again, hope you liked the build. I really enjoyed it. My friend seemed to like what she's seen of it so far, but she hasn't seen the full finished product, so I'm hoping now that she sees the whole full finished project, she still likes it as much as seeing the pictures I gave her. But anyway, I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!